Hello everybody, we're here at Chicken Wing Beach in Key West, Florida, waiting for the wind line to come in and get a session in today. I wanted to go over some of the stuff because I haven't seen much on the MK2 yet. I've been using these wings for about, I'd say about 45, some of them up to 60 hours now. So I got some good feedback on it, and I'd like to let you know what the advantages are, and even if you have an H series or something like that, things you can do and the usability of this. So first we'll start out with the 2100. Now you can see the 2100 is hooked up to my board. I'm on a Code 78 liter. You can see this is a broad, pretty broad wing. I have it on the Fusion carbon mast. We have it set up with a long fuse, and then on the back I have it on with the V230. Now this one is a session saver. I can ride this no problem, 10 12 miles an hour, get out there when the wind's just up and down, and I can really get a consistent session on it. The profile on this one, you would think is a big wing. You see a lot of them are a lot thinner going across here. This has a little bit more reach, but it's also sloped, and the way it rolls off in the corners and this little pitch in the wings here in the tips makes it very forgiving. The tips can come out. You can plane up really quickly on this. What I like about it is, like I said, it saves sessions. Here's another thing. If you're a beginner and you're on one of these things, it's so forgiving. Like, I've been going out to practice tricks on it, and when I go out and do jumps, for example, it's so easy to land a jump and continue to ride on foil. You start to make a mistake, this thing just keeps on gliding and going. I actually got to have a wave session in it. The wind was super light, but I was able to get out and pump up and get on it. And I could pump through the waves and everything on this. So this one for light wind is for sure a saver. And like I said, we have it set up with a long fuse and the 230 on the back. And I really prefer the carbon mast. A lot of times you'll be starting out with an aluminum mast in the beginning. There's nothing wrong with that. It's fine. This performs great. Just those aluminum masts weigh more. It can make a little bit more pressure on your rear foot and give you some of that cramping. Adding this lighter component actually makes it pop up a little bit easier, break free with the board, depending on the size of the board you're riding. This is a 78 liter Code, whether you're riding a 98 liter or 120, or you're getting into a sinker version and stuff, which is totally advanced. If you're a beginner, intermediate, or a standard rider, you're going to be riding somewhere around this size or a little bit bigger, especially if you're having Florida winds like we do that are inconsistent and that are up and down, all over the place. You want to have some good gear on top of you so you can do it. So the next one in the series is the 1240. So this 1240 I've gotten a lot of time on. If you look at the shape, you can see those traditional curves they're doing in this. Now it looks a little wide, right? But the way they have positioned this and smoothed this off, now it's apparently with a university they've been working with to see the dynamics of the foil, these little pitch with these wing tips coming up a little bit. They definitely come as you turn out of the water and still hold their stability. You can see, if you can look at this, and I'm sorry about all the shadows, but the sun's behind me this morning. The curve up, coming across and back down. You can see there's quite a gap underneath of there as this thing sits. That really helps in planing and getting up. I can get up on this in 13 and go out and have a great session and everything. Now on this one, you'll notice, compared to the other, the bigger version, you can see where the difference is versus a 1200 versus this 2100. But also you'll see here on what we call the fuse. I have a shorter fuse on this one. You can see as we line them up, this is substantially shorter. What this does is this makes this turn so quickly. I mean, on the dime. Whether you put the V180 on, if I know it's a day that it's going to be so-so conditions, but I want to ride my 1200, I put on the 230 on the back, on the short fuse, on this 1200, and I am going plenty fast. I can pump the board very easy. I can glide a lot. Once the wind comes up, I can switch it to the 180. It also depends if I'm in waves. Sometimes you'll be out in waves, and you know, when waves roll, what they do is they send a lot of moisture up in the air, and it feels like there's less wind. Well, that's because there's more drag from all that mist coming up in the waves, and you kind of can tend to get stuck. When I have it set up on a day where it's maybe not the strongest conditions for waves, and I put that bigger rear wing on there, I mean, it just makes an incredible difference. I'm really, in the beginning, I had to get used to these a little bit because I was riding the H series a lot, and I thought they'd be a lot slower. The amazing thing is I've had a couple other people go out that are good riders, ride this 2100. They can't believe how fast it is on the setup, and they couldn't believe they're out riding in the conditions they were, having a lot of fun. So we got the 1240 there, and now the other one I'm riding a lot is the 930. So the 930, same kind of position, a little wide. You can see when we lay it up the difference in the bigger version. You know, if we get up here and show you what you're riding when you're 2100 to this 930. Now this one I really like. This has been the one I've been really able to go out and do some stuff. I mean, you can build a lot of speed on this. You can do really great jumps. Again, a little bit of this width, shorter profile, wingtips coming up, okay? Making really aggressive turns. I can get those wingtips out of the water and really lean into the turn and still stay stable. And listen, turning, when you can turn on a dime, you have the short fuse on here, you have the 180 on the back of here. You can fly, do things, and it's also forgiving in the lulls. You can pump up or pump through it in the lulls. Now, just to give you a comparison, this is the 1200 H series. I ride this one a lot. The 1000 is great. They're very fast, very high performance, okay? So if you already have one of these, we can do a little layup here and see some of the difference, okay? So when you initially look at it, it doesn't look like much, but what I find is you're gonna have to put it down this way, flip this one over. You can see the H series a little more higher profile, going to give you a lot more speed, and you can see you're missing a little bit of that width down here. So what that means is this one pumps and planes a little bit more if you're riding in inconsistent winds, which a lot of us are. Listen, your skill level can really define. You can pretty much ride a piece of plastic if you're a really good rider. So don't let everybody tell you that you have to be advanced only to ride these higher aspect series or the low aspect series. Your skill and your conditions are really going to dictate it. Now, one of the things I found that was really great when I wanted to compare them, I took the short fuse, put it on the 1200 on a lighter day that the 1200, you know, I got to work more, and maybe I'd need like a 1600. And then I put the bigger 230 rear foil on the back of the H series, and wow, I mean, I'm pumping through. It's giving me a little more lift. There's a tiny bit of drag notice, but not enough to affect your speed, your performance, and to be able to pump and glide through the waves. I have in waves with conditions that are fast, strong winds, and stuff like that, I'm starting to like this MK2 because it's more forgiving and I don't need to go 90 miles per hour. I can make it into the wave, make a cut back, drop back in and go. But on some of the lighter days, I'm putting this setup with the small fuse on it with the H series, and I'm finding I can power through. So there's so many options here, but what I like what Cabrini did was they've given you these fuse options and everything matches up together. So you can switch things around and change things up. Now, one of the lessons I did learn, I thought I had enough. I wanted to see what it'd be like having a smaller tail foil on this, and I put the 180 on it, and it was a little twitchy and really it kind of was really jumpy in the turn. So better to have this bigger one on. A short fuse, listen, if you're riding in that light of a wind, you don't need a short fuse. It's going to change your turning profile, not going to make you glide the same. This is the setup you want for light wind. You can go down a little bit if your weight's lower to the V180. I'm 180 pounds, so that's my setup. Somebody at 150 or stuff like that could definitely get away for some of these smaller things. But like I said, the nice thing about all these is you can get and mix and match your quiver with this of foils. You can get a big one for the front, or if you're lucky enough not to have low winds and you don't ride in low winds, then you can mix and match and have your H series 1200 and then get into a 930. Like I said, it's kind of unlimited. I love what they've done with this. The carbon layup is really good and strong in here. One of the differences is they now bolt on through the center as well. You have two top pieces, and on the center you can see here these hex head. I'll get you on the other side. You can see it's got a little Cabrini symbol on it right there. This goes flat in. It's a guide. It goes through. You'll want to make sure in your sessions, I'm noticing, because sometimes you hit bottom or hit sand and stuff like that. Make sure before you start your sessions, you're out there, you got your tools with you in your vehicle or whatever. You're tightening things up and making sure you get a good firm thing. Your mass plate bolts are tightened up. You can see I have it a little bit more forward. That's going to get me up a lot quicker in the lighter wind. I will switch it back to medium when the winds get stronger. It really depends where you want to ride on the board, if you want your front foot a little more forward, a little more back. So overall, I'm really loving these. I'm going to stay on these for a lot of conditions that we have in Florida. Going up into Fort Pierce, or these places we go and ride with waves. I think there's a lot of great stuff, and able to sit there and switch your quiver as things happen. You don't need to have 8 wings. You know, you can pick out your thing and go, I want my high performance, my 1200 or my 1000 for when it's ripping, and then I want my 1240 for when it's so-so conditions and I can get on the wave, and I want to carry a short fuse and a long fuse, because a long fuse on any of these is going to make them come up faster and give you more planing. You're going to lose just a slight bit of the turning, and when I say slight bit, the shorter fuses you can turn on a dime. I've spun around, and it's you want to do a 360, you can do one without even trying. So there's a lot of great options here. I hope you go out, get yourself on, go to a dealer. There's a lot of places you can demo these things now, and hopefully we'll keep going through steps. And I'm going to show you things like the beginning of kiteboarding when I started out in '96 and everything. I'm working through teaching skills, body dragging, self-rescue, different things on how to get you going. I have a 15-step process coming out that'll be available for free, that starts you from flying the wing on the beach on a paddleboard to getting up on the foil. That's really, I've taken some time to put this out because I wanted to wait till I had at least 50 people that I reacted with, seeing them do different things and what the common stuff is. So here's your review on the MK2s. Love it. Get out there. Hopefully this wind will show up. I can see it on the outside. It'll come in. We'll get a little wave moving off the pier, and we'll get out and have a session. And if you have any questions as an intermediate, a beginner, and you're struggling with, contact me at Paul Menta wingfoiling@gmail.com, and I'll answer the question best you can. And if it's a riding problem or a setup, shoot me a video of somebody taking you a riding, and we'll get you straightened out. Because the whole thing about this sport is, the more we get everybody gone, the more stoked there is on the water. And with wing foiling, there's a ton. And don't forget, when the wind gets up, bring all your gear to the beach. There's nothing better than going out and winging for a while and then grabbing your kite and going out and having like a killer session. Because as high as I can jump, which is chest high or maybe head high on a normal on the wing, I can, 10 times that on the kite and still have fun. So you don't have to give up one sport to do the other, but this is an incredible adventure. Being able to foil and glide across the waves and hover across the top of the ocean. You're walking on water. So have a great time. See y'all soon.